September the 27th, 2025. Guys, you're looking at the latest information for the tropical depression number 9 that we're seeing setting right here over southern Cuba. Now, it's going to become a category 1 right about here. You see that? And this would be 8 a.m. Tuesday is what they're saying. Now, this is a very unusual turn. It's something you don't see that often. And it would be even more surprising if there was not a Cat 4 hurricane lingering out here tugging on it to pull it into that open area of low pressure, guys. Again, we're setting here. It's going to skate up the Florida coast. You notice you have tropical storm watches up from most of central Florida on the west coast, then getting right here and basically stopping and pulling back out towards Bermuda. That's what they're saying. In a hurricane by 8 a.m. Tuesday, but this tropical storm that's going to move up along Florida, guys, you know the scenario, rip currents, rain, things like that. You're going to have to be careful. Now, if you look at it and think about it on the long term, this is the best possible scenario that we could get. In other words, we get the cooling effect that we need in one of the crucial places. The Gulf Stream comes out here, goes up along this area, and that's warmer water than the Atlantic. Well, here we're going to get a lot of cooling effect there and then pull offshore before much destruction. If this model holds, and this is the average of many models. Now, this cone is not the size of the storm. It's the probable path. And so in the center of the mini pass that you see in the spaghetti models, this is what we're getting right here. And it usually is fairly accurate, as the closer you get to land. But again, Florida, you're about to start seeing tropical storm winds and waves, rip currents, and everything else along the entire coast here. And this would be the best thing. Cool everything off, not much destruction on shore. Get back out into the Atlantic with all the cooling properties. Now, we've got a Category 4 at 145 mile per hour Hurricane Humberto setting off over here, and it's going to be kind of a parallel run straight up with both storms together. And you can see where it starts making that hard turn about the same place as a Cat 4, maybe a Cat 3 by this point, and then pulling out over Bermuda and moving out into the Atlantic. But this right here may be and I said it for the last few days, this and the front would be the steering mechanisms for number 9 that's moving up through this area much closer. Just 2 parallel storms dancing up the East Coast and going to head out into the Atlantic, we hope. Now, the Canadian model throws a little bit of twist into this. Now, this is the current spaghetti models as of 11:30 a.m. this morning, East Coast time. You still have the Navy model pulling out early into the Atlantic. CMC still pulling out north of there, but notice that it turns back, guys, and then everything else is pulling into South Carolina. This turn back could be because this Category 4 hurricane right here is pulling out, and it's going to pull out so fast that the CMC model is showing that as it starts to pull and follow the Cat 4 hurricane, number 9 does, that this one basically outruns it. High pressure sets up over this area right there and curves the Canadian model back into shore. Let's check that out on the models. And this is what we have, guys. Again, Humberto cuts out, pulls the number 9 storm behind it, high pressure sets in, and then back into possibly Long Island up here into this area. Depends on how close it gets to shore, but here's Humberto pulling out. Here is our other storm, getting right to the South Carolina beaches, pulling right back out. In other words, just the scenario I was talking about. The very strong pull of a Cat 4 here, tugging and pull it out. High pressure breaks that system, and the East Coast gets a dose. Now, this is the global forecast system, and it shows that the storm number 9 is staying behind our Cat 4 hurricane. Then it breaks free from that tug and wanders back up into the northern Atlantic. Watch right here, following the big storm, although this one's pretty big itself. Gets out here following it, then it gets a break and tries to head back into the east, then pull north. Again, that's the better scenario. The only thing about it skating up into New York, it's still, without hitting shore, is that it would pull more heat out of the water without the destructive land impact. Now, the Navy model shows just like the same path that we're seeing in the spaghetti models. Storm number 9 follows the very large hurricane out into the Atlantic. Check that. It comes across here. Doesn't get that close to shore. And I guess as far as wind, rip current damage and all, that would be the best scenario. Again, it's a very popular model, in that Navy model. Of course, they have a lot of vested interest in what happens in the oceans. But again, we've been noticing some changes this year on the predictability of these models. Let's take a look at the satellite images themselves. Now, these are live images up to the last frame this morning, and you can see here is our Cat 4 hurricane, very clear eye right there. And this thing is getting closer. It actually looked like it would turn turn north a little sooner than it is, and that's gonna, the further that it moves this way, guys, and is closer it's gonna get to Florida, right? But this front right here may be the guide of the system turning and keeping it offshore right there. Again, very powerful storm here. Let's look at the infrared. And here you can see moisture already building up along the east coast here. Right here is the Outer Banks. And you got South Carolina, North Carolina. You're starting to get some pull-up rain across northern Florida right there, guys. And again, very powerful Cat 4. Right here, what's happening, just from looking at it, is that you've got so many islands involved. It's having a little trouble organizing. You get a mountain blocking here, one on the other side, kind of all the way around. But as soon as it gets off the larger islands and gets into the smaller Bahamas, guys, this thing's going to really crank up, and that's going to be today. So you only got this weekend to prepare. And tomorrow, all of this is going to be starting to touch South Florida. So go ahead and get your preps ready just in case. It never hurts to have a full tank of gas in your vehicle in case you got to move out, because you can always use it later if you don't use it right. Water, food, supplies, batteries, all of the above. But guys, just a quick update. There's a lot going on right now. There was a big ICE protest yesterday in Chicago and Oregon, and I think Trump and Bundy are sending in now more agents, more federal troops, and really they're talking about squashing the resistance. It was ridiculous, the Chicago protest yesterday. I kind of watched them in and out and into the night, and every time a truck would come up there, we're either pulling immigrants in or out of the Chicago facility there, guys. And they're hampering everything. Even you had the mayor and stuff involved in sit-ins and all of the crap and the hollering, singing, dancing, and then the rushing in of when the vehicles would approach the gate from either side. Then Trump said this morning he's had it. Oregon, he's had enough. He's seen it going for way too long. He said it's total anarchy up there in the Northwest. And so he's sending in more and more people. He wants it shut down. So we're about to see it get really possibly violent, but definitely moving it, in my opinion, in the right direction. These people are being paid to try to destroy our country, and we have to fight back with everything we have. That's why we elected Trump. The rest of you guys that don't like it, you're going to have to get over it, because we're going to take our country back. This is a heads up, guys. Watch for updates today. Be safe.